Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, there's just 324 days until Christmas 2022. Oh my goodness. And just a couple things off the top. You know what? Star Wars Meg would normally be here with me today, but she's got other things she's got to take care of today, so she's not going to be able to join in the discussion. So what we have done, we've set this up so that if you are a channel member, you're subscribed to the channel as a Blizzard Battalion member, Elite Squad, or one of our Snowpack members. So if you are one of our members, channel members, I have sent out a link that you can join here in this discussion. So you can join, that link is posted in Discord as well as here in YouTube. If you are a channel member, it's in the YouTube discussion for channel members only. So if you would like to discuss about what are your hopes and dreams for the Book of Boba Fett finale, some of the rumors, some of the leaks, some of the information that's out there, you'd like to discuss it, bring it up in a live stream, feel free to join us. Dominic, no Meg, I'm out of here. Dominic, that's great. Just a couple of things as we get ready to discuss this Book of Boba Fett finale. And I see we've got tons of friends out here already joining in the stream. Matt and Ducky. Of course, Mark is here and Ronnie. Yes, the finale predictions, that link is in the description here, and Mark has put it in the chat. You can come in and discuss your predictions and some questions if something's not clear. And there's Jason Ward, MakingStarWars.net. Good to see you here, Jason. And Seth, good to see you. Still on cloud 9 from the last episode. These last two, you know what? Meg is too cool for Santa. Meg has always been too cool for Santa, but she finds it in her heart to come and spend time with us, and we absolutely love her. A couple of channel news updates here at the very top is we're going to be updating the channel. There's a couple of things that need to happen. One is we have some brand new logo assets. So we've got a logo, we've got an image, and I actually own the rights to those. So I have permission to use those and in merchandise. So we can start to create some channel merchandise for you guys. I've got my mega mug here. I've got my mega mug from Star Wars Meg's channel, and you guys, you should support Meg by going out to her merch store and getting your own mega mug, something like that. So we're going to have some Star Wars Santa merch here available very soon. We've just got to do some work on those assets to get them cleaned up and ready to go. So look forward to doing that. Additionally, the intro that we have here, we're going to include the new assets in that intro, and I need to get that updated as well. And the music that's behind it, our friend Darth Elvis has given me a song. Star Wars Meg has offered to create a new intro song, and so once we're able to kind of get that into the rotation, we will be able to update the intro with that as well. So there's some channel news. And next week, just about a week from today, I think, my plan is next Friday to have our members only Zoom chat. So if you're a channel member, we try to give you all some extra value, and just for $2 a month, you can help support this channel and become a channel member, and that makes you eligible to win a vintage collection toy giveaway. And so we do those every single month. We give away a vintage collection toy, and then if you are a supporter at $5 a month or more, you are eligible for the vintage collection giveaway that I previously mentioned, as well as a Black Series figure giveaway. So you got two chances to win a toy. a Hasbro Vintage Collection or Black Series Collection toy. And then if you are one of our top tier members, a $10 a month level, you're eligible for both of those giveaways, as well as sometimes we do a bonus giveaway. Maybe it's an extra Vintage Collection toy or it's a Black Series toy. But we also have ordered some very special collector's items. We've got a Boba Fett coming in from SH Figure Arts. That's a $100 figure. It's the same size as the Black Series figures, but it has so much more detail and accessories. It's going to be fantastic. So if you're one of our Elite Squad members, that's supposed to come in the end of this month. So next month we should have that available to give away. No, Dominic, I'm not giving away my Ray figures. My Ray figures are mine. I'm keeping those. But we'll be giving away a Boba Fett. SH Figure Arts. It's highly detailed, and it's got tons of accessories in there, and we'll be giving that away. And then at the end of the year, probably about this time next year, to be honest, we're going to give away the Hot Toys Sideshow collectible Boba Fett and Throne and Fennec Shand. That's over $700 worth of value, close to $1,000 when you add all of it together. So that's what we try to do for our fans. And we've got a couple of folks here who are ready to come in to talk about the Book of Boba Fett finale. And first we have my good friend Jason Ward. Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm great. I just
cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me.
Still?
One second.
Yeah. Well, he's working on it. Let's see. I saw some folks. Still no Jason. No. Okay. I'll give you another shot. He's going to come back. He'll be out. And I saw X-Wing is trying to get joined in as well. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. I saw a couple other notes in here. Yes. I gotta go back. Star Wars Krampus. No. That channel name's reserved for Nikki. We're saving that for her. Oh my goodness. What else we have? Get caught up. Oh, Dale says they can hear you. Dale says they can hear you, Jason. I just have to read your lips. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Let me see what is going on with my audio here.
I am the new Star Wars Santa.
I see the problem.
Hear me.
I hear Jason Ward.
Little people, I am the new Star Wars Santa. Don't listen to this man.
I hear you, Jason. I can hear you as well. Oh my goodness! So it was.
I tried to make a coup yesterday when iMagic Maker was on and he was just there by himself. I was like, dude, take over. Now's your time. Come on. And he was like, oh, I can't do that to Santa. He was so nice. But I'll be honest, I was willing to take over.
Oh, well, we should have just let you have it. So happy Friday, Jason. So if we were to say, what are your hopes, your wishes for the finale of the Book of Boba Fett? What would you say?
I honestly, my only hope or wish or whatever is that Boba Fett is the guy who brings it together, and that at the end of the day, I feel like it's Boba Fett's show. I feel like it was Boba Fett's story, and because it hasn't been. And I don't want to be a downer or anything like that, but I just hope at the very last minute we got these little side stories that are really great. But in the end, it gets really focused on him, and all of these other disparate characters come together, and he is the one who leads them to something greater.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I've heard all the complaints, people saying that it's not the story of Boba Fett that they wanted. Mm-hmm. And that we've had too much Mandalorian, not Boba Fett. That early on, the first 4 episodes, there were like too many flashbacks, not enough going on. And so there's been a lot of complaints. But Yeah, I'm hoping that this finale can kind of launch it and make people feel really satisfied at the end that they got the story as it unfolded, and they see the payoff and they're like, oh, yeah, that's what we wanted, right? More than and I watched X-Wing's video from last night. He and Nikki were talking. Look, there's the member. They say member berries, right? There's the
Right.
there's all of those things that we got from Luke Skywalker and Cad Bane for a lot of us, and some of the other. There were a lot of, what do you call them, Easter eggs from the prequels, from the original trilogy. So fans are like, "Woo, that was super exciting!" But the story itself has left a lot of people lacking. So
Yeah, yeah. The like visual unification of the universe, I've loved. Like Naboo starfighters at Jabba's palace. That's great. Like stuff like that. I'm all about it. But once again, that's not like necessarily a story. And the other thing that I've heard a lot of is people are going like, well, they always said at some investors meeting that it was this, and I'm like, no, I don't care what they said at an investors meeting. They said that they were going to have a story called the Book of Boba Fett. They didn't explain it. The story doesn't explain it, and it leaves me kind of confused about that. And like when you watch Rome, or you watch Deadwood, or you watch Boardwalk Empire, you don't go 4 episodes not knowing who any of the other characters are. They focused it. If you were going to do all of the stories with all these different characters, they should have been interwoven throughout every episodes in different ways with different parts going on. So it either talked down to us or it's not focused. I don't know. But by the way,
yeah,
I could hear myself coming through. I don't know if that's...
I don't hear an echo. But if anybody on the YouTube side, if anybody's viewing this and you're hearing an echo, let us know. But we'll keep driving forward. So I heard you also talk about managing expectations.
Yeah.
And that they haven't done a very good job of managing expectations. Everybody says that your audio is fine, Jason. Okay. And Meg, who is she's here. She's going to join us. So we can argue with Meg in real time. And
howdy, Marshall.
Howdy, diddly diddly do.
I've argued with Meg just a little bit about this managing expectations thing as well in Discord, that I felt like there was a ton of hype, that people were coming in with really high expectations, and they were allowed to come up with in their own minds what they thought was going to happen. And Meg said, well, wait, calm down there, Santa. We've had other shows that people love, and they didn't have any trouble managing those expectations. But I still think they kind of set it up where people came in thinking they were going to get something than what they did. So, Meg, have I somewhat accurately described your thought?
Yeah, I think so. It's the whole idea of like, we don't necessarily need like a bucket list of things we want to see in a show for it to be good.
Right.
I just feel like it's disorganized. Like, I've loved every single episode for different reasons, but it feels so disjointed from one another. And it's not even just the fact that we haven't really had Boba Fett in the last 2. It's just been so disorganized, as if nothing really ties together as one series.
Well, and so, I think Jason's right there saying that hopefully then the finale, you see where all of these come together, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, that like it bookends it really, really masterfully. I mean, that's literally what it requires right now, I think, to make it feel coherent. I don't know if it can.
Meg, so Meg, what would be your hopes and dreams to make it pull together? Your wishes
There's only
for the finale.
one character who can tie it all together. Mace, mother-loving Windu.
And
the
it
reason
doesn't matter.
I'm dead serious, and I'm dead serious because Mace Windu could connect to the Grogu story arc, so it makes that all make sense, and it ties into the Camino and Geonosis flashbacks from the start of the show.
Yeah, I would love to see Mace Windu, but I think we might get him in a flashback, not in real time. Is that sufficient?
Fine.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
very good. Very good.
Do you guys both think they will do any flashbacks in the final episode? Which I know every week we're like, will they keep doing flashbacks? Will they keep doing flashbacks? But do you think in the final one, do you think we ever flashback, or do you think we are going to stay present tense for the whole?
I have a theory.
Okay,
Go ahead.
It's going to be to do with Cad Bane. As soon as Boba sees Cad Bane, we're either going to get Cad Bane meeting Django because they knew each other, or we're going to see the last time Fennec faced off against Cad Bane, and then we could see Omega. Or we get a flashback to the unused Clone Wars arc, or they make that Clone Wars arc happen years later in the Book of Boba Fett.
My theory is that we will see a follow-up to Luke and Grogu, the last flashback. We'll get the next scene in that where we see Mace get Grogu and take him away.
I love that
As
idea.
a continuation of Grogu's memory restoring, and that so this is another thing. Do you think we'll see a scene where Grogu makes the choice? So the choice is laid out before him, right? We've got the mail, we've got the lightsaber. Do we see him make that, or do we just see the effect of him making that decision?
that's a big one for the last episode of this, and it would apply right to Mando season 3. So, do we open Mando season 3 with getting Grogu back, and that's like a good opening? The band's back together, or do you put the band back together in this, and then we just go on like business as usual? I personally, I've thought that they should have saved all of this for Mando season 3 so far. So I'm the worst person to predict this part.
I'm kind of on Jason's side with that.
Yeah, I think we see the effect of the decision, not the decision itself.
But going back to what you were saying, Sandra, about Order 66, there is definitely that cutoff point because someone swooped in that moment that the clones were heading towards Grogu. And whether it's in The Mandalorian or a post-credit scene of Book of Boba Fett or in the next episode, we're definitely going to see that. Although I suspect that could be saved for the Andor series.
I know. It's just so hard. Jedi Mike says, now 6 here, the Jason Echo. I'm not sure about the Jason Echo. Maybe, Jason, look in your audio settings and see if the echo cancellation is on.
Yeah.
It comes really difficult to predict, right? It comes really difficult to predict how they're going to execute it, because they've shown us they'll do literally anything they want, and we just get whatever happens. Oh my goodness! Mark says Jason sounds fine to me. I'm getting Mike Yaney. Well, let me see. I'm going to turn on echo cancellation at my side and see if it helps with anything. So there we go.
Echo. Okay. Yes.
I think we're fine.
It's good now.
Did that help?
It
help?
could be my
Okay.
side. I don't know.
Well,
I turned it on at my side, so hopefully that takes care of it. There's a couple other things I want to touch base on real quick, and we'll try to get back. Nikki. Oh, I'm not. No, I don't want to start that fight. Not in a live stream. We'll do that.
Is that about the
privately.
clone troopers?
No. She's trying to start it. She's trying to start it. I mean, she's being Nikki. Oh my goodness. Look, there's a couple other things, and I see we've got Kindle in the chat. So let me just bring him in. So there's two things. One is the Kenobi release date. So yesterday there was a post that came through that said Kenobi in May. Now there's a Kenobi book coming in May. Does that Kenobi in May mean the book, or does it mean the show?
Well,
Kenobi.
there was the tweet, right? We're talking about the tweet that went out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have. Actually, I think I have it.
I think
You want me to
Kenobi is
read it?
going to drop after Celebration at the end of May.
Yeah, this guy from Disney Plus goes, our very own Obi-Wan will be saying hello there on Disney Plus May 2022.
There you
And
go.
and then he backtracked and said, "Oh, I meant to talk about the comic book thing," but then he took it away, so we never got to. It doesn't make sense.
And we've got Kendall taking a walk there from normies to nerds. Hello, Kendall. What's up?
Hey,
Hey. So what are your hopes and dreams for
Hey,
the
how's it
finale?
going?
What brings
Man,
the
my hopes
finale
and dreams.
together for you?
One, first off, what you were saying about Grogu and paying it off. To me, it's the smartest decision in the world to pay off, to have Grogu make this decision and have it show up in the finale. Because it's like, you don't want to say that for Mando 3. You want to give people a reason to watch Boba if they haven't already. So if you start Mando season 3 and you see that, wait a minute, I thought Grogu left with Luke, and you see him back with Mando, it's going to behoove you, as one of those fancy words, to go watch Book of Boba if you haven't already. So I hope that actualizes, and I think Grogu in the chainmail could absolutely look dope. Like if they find a way to allow him to like force manipulate the chains, like to kind of make them flow like in action. Like I'm really excited about that aspect of it. But really to bring it together, what you guys were saying, Boba needs to make his stamp. We can have all this fun with all these other characters, have as many cameos as we want, but at the end of the day, Boba needs to make this stamp on the finale, whether that's killing Cat Bane, what have you. He has to make a stamp, and I'm fearful because we know Fennec has her beef with the cat, but I have faith that they will finally let Boba say, you know what, no more of this like sitting on the sidelines or what have you. We're going to let him finish it off. So Boba coming in, that's one last thing, and then honestly, forget Han Solo, forget everybody else. I want to see Omega pop up. To me, it makes sense for Omega to pop up. You got Fennec Shan, who knows who Omega is. She should know, like, that's like the elephant in the room, right? Like, have they talked about Omega? Because Fennec Shan knows, and she spent all this time with Boba. To me, like, there's no way that this conversation about Omega doesn't come up. And now with Cad Bane coming into play, it's like, now she really has to, like, yo, I had this encounter when I was trying to rescue, when I was on this bounty for your sister. You know what I mean? Like, this type of stuff has to go down. So that's like, to me,
I
that's
actually
been the biggest
disagree with
elephant in the
that.
room.
Yeah, go ahead, Meg.
I strongly disagree just because Omega wasn't created until like halfway through production of the Book of Boba Fett. So in their mind, they were like, okay, I mean, they might name drop her or something at the end, but we probably won't see her because most fans haven't even seen The Bad Batch yet. So I think they may let The Bad Batch Season 2 play out and get more fans excited about Boba's sister. And then maybe we'll see her in Season 2. But I definitely agree with Kendall that they need to address the fact that Fennec Shand has met Boba's sister and there is this huge connection with Cad Bane. And as he says, there could be this moment where Fennec's like, oh, by the way, you know, I was hired by the Kaminoans to protect your sister all those years ago.
That's what I was going to say. I agree with both of you. I think they need to address the elephant in the room, but they haven't set it up yet to do that. So it needs to happen. And here's a follow-up question to that is, will there be fallout? Will Boba be like, what? Like, why didn't you tell me about her earlier? Why am I just now finding out? Or why did you keep this secret? And I saw that Man on the Moon said, why would they talk about her? It was one job 30 years ago. Well,
that's kind of where my mind is at. It's a question I have too.
They wouldn't have put Fennec in The Bad Batch unless it was to connect it to Boba Fett.
I agree.
And
I
when
agree.
you have a run-in with somebody like Cad Bane, that is something you talk about your whole career, like your whole lifetime. So the reason why she had that run-in to me was because of Omega. And you know, honestly, to go to Meg's point about, you know, not bringing me into after Bad Batch, to me it's like, if they're really taking the pages, you know, you guys, I'm a Marvel head, but if they're really taking pages out of Marvel, it's all about making people go back to go and watch these things, the value of these things after they come out. Like the reason why Marvel gets so many views is because you watch something that 5 years, you know, something that came out 5 years ago that's important to something you're watching now, then you go back in time and watch that. And that's how I feel about like The Bad Batch is, you know, it's one of those lesser watched shows. Put a nugget in Book of Boba to make people go back and watch Bad Batch before season 2 comes out. So that's
I absolutely
where
agree
my
with
head
that.
is at.
But I would say the nugget is going to be that after this next episode,
Conversation.
everyone is going to go back and rewatch Solo: A Star Wars Story. I promise you.
Okay. If you promise,
There's a
I'll go watch it now. I'll be right back.
So is that Kier? Is that what you're saying? Should
Maybe.
I answer yes to the Kier question on the predictions? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, Novak says, with a $5 super chat says Santa needs a red Cad Bane style hat along with some red Boba Fett to spats to match. Now, I don't like the spats. I'm not a fan of the spats, but I do have a red hat. But I think it's upstairs though. I don't. I wore it to visit Jason one time. It's a red fedora. I've got a red fedora.
Oh,
It's quite spiffy.
I've seen it.
Is that the Jurassic Park one?
Yes. Yeah. It's quite good. I love it. Yeah. I wanted to continue to discuss anything else real quick, Kendall, before I change the subject.
No, that's it. That's all. Thank you for letting me spat out about it.
There it is. Jason's showing everybody the red fedora. There it is.
Santa looking like a pimp.
It's so good. I love it. So what I wanted to ask is, okay, so if we're not getting Kenobi until May, and we're also getting a Kenobi comic in May, then what are we getting Star Wars wise on Disney Plus? Let's kind of narrow it down. Disney Plus Star Wars between next week and May.
Nothing. A slap in the tits.
I'm with Meg. I'm with Meg. I think they're gonna let it. I think they're gonna let it breathe. I think they're just gonna leave it alone, and then drop it when it makes sense for them, and not only when it makes sense for Star Wars, but when it makes sense for Disney with all of the stuff on their Disney Plus schedule.
So there you mentioned all the stuff on Disney. Kendall, real quick, what do you think?
I agree, and I don't think it's an issue. I mean, I know, like, as hungry fans, we want to see more stuff like as soon as possible. But May isn't that long of a wait to wait for something like Kenobi. It's something as grand scale as Kenobi. Now, if we had to wait till May for something like, I don't want to say like this, but if we had to wait till May for something like Bad Batch, then that might be a little bit more like more of a negative feeling. But wait for Kenobi, it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we could get the Bad Batch on May the 4th. Because I can't really see how else they're going to do that with 16 episodes, unless they do it like as soon as possible. But I've heard some people be like, we may not get anything on May the 4th, but I doubt that. We'll probably get something.
Well, we got barely anything last year, so there's a precedent for getting nothing. But we can hope, right? We can hope.
It's that expectations thing, right? Temper your expectations for May the 4th. Like that's the biggest expectation thing that has to be managed, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And they have a weird policy of just not managing expectations whatsoever. Just being like,
right.
And then looking at the fandom as if they're idiots when they get excited about things that get out of control because they didn't say, "Hey, just chill out a little bit." That's all they have to do. Just a little bit.
But do you guys remember, like, after The Mandalorian Season 2, Star Wars felt, like, properly dead until we got the Bad Batch trailer in April?
Yeah.
It
was really quiet. It was super quiet. There was just, like, nothing going on. And like, I hope for May 4th stuff, but did we get Bad Batch on May 4th?
Yes.
Yeah, so we got Bad Batch on May 4th. So that's like the only time in the history of May 4th I think we ever got anything kicked off that mattered whatsoever. It's always been like, hey guys, you guys should get some new t-shirts and here's a 25% discount today only or something like that.
Right.
That's the majority.
Right. That's what we got. That's what it was last year. There's like, hey, we got new merch for sale. Go buy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how about you tell us something? Nope. So that creates another problem, sort of, right? Like if they're not going to release Kenobi until say end of May, then we've got Bad Batch and Andor and presumably season 3 of The Mandalorian, which doesn't have to start until say the very end of the year, like the end of December. and then potentially maybe the droids show that Anthony Daniels was doing the mocap for. I mean, it's just a ton of content to release, and the schedule starts shrinking, right?
I don't think we're going to get Mando in 2022, personally. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I think we got Kenobi and Cassian, and I think that's it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get all of that, and there's more coming. But I think 2023 is that droids is the is it a droid tale or a droid story? I can't remember but a droid story and Mando 3 are then along with the High Republic series.
So, do you think there's a chance Mando could drop really late in December, like the Book of Boba Fett did?
I'd love if it did. And in terms of the schedule and it being done, they should be able to like do that. If they really wanted to, they totally could, because the schedule for Mando is the same as it's always been. It's the same as it's been on every single season, and every single season we got it like in later in the year. And so it could happen. But how many weeks? I mean, we got, if they were to do all 12 episodes of Cassian, and that's a big if, but if they did, and with 6 episodes of Kenobi, that's 18 weeks of Star Wars right there. And so I don't know. I'm pessimistic. Maybe I'm just being a Debbie Downer today, but I don't think so.
Jason, what do you think?
Honestly. Oh, sorry.
So sorry,
go
Kendall.
ahead. No,
Go ahead, Kendall.
Oh, I was just saying I would like for it to come out in 2023, to be real. Like, with what we've gotten so far with Book of Boba, like in these last 2 episodes, with what we should be getting from Kenobi, like those are high points in the year for Star Wars. So it's like, I'm cool with shelving Mando into 2023, because that's when I know we're going to be getting another high point in another year. Like, I don't need it all at one time. I hate, you know what I mean? It's, let's spread it out a little bit, if that makes sense. So I mean, in Mando 2023, let that be Mando's year, and let Kenobi have his shine in 2022. Let it be what we walk away from, and the same thing with what we've gotten with Boba and this so far the back half of this year. So,
Go ahead, Jason.
I just I think the other thing I was just going to add to that is that we have Celebration this year if it goes on and it doesn't get canceled as well, and that's also the important thing to remember. Like May 4th, in terms of announcements, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to announce anything unless it's like Celebration stuff, right?
Right.
That's probably what they'll announce is Celebration.
Jason, I wanted to ask you about the Andor series, because there was that rumor that the 12 episodes they filmed are going to be split in 2.
Yeah.
So then they're going to do 6 this year, 6 next year, because season 3 for Andor is set to go into production this year.
Yeah. There was during the middle of the production of that, they had they were filming in these various locations outside of Pinewood, around the UK, and they needed to get more time to film the at those spots. Some of the spots they just straight up said no, they couldn't get them back. And so I am right now of the opinion, this is based on a little bit of things I've heard and a little bit of speculation, but I think that that their back half of the season schedule got really jacked up in that, and that essentially in doing so they decided to make it into what amounts to a 2 seasons. That's where I think we may be on that, and I know that if they ended up picking it up and that if they did film for 12 episodes, so they could have still done it. They could still have finished it, and I don't see why with as much time as they had, they couldn't finish the visual effects for the back half of that season and still do it all at once. But I am a little bit like, is it all based off of that one trade saying that season 3 is about to like start, or is it just because of the way that the production ended up being broken up in various pieces and with COVID and all the problems that they had and stuff? So I hope it's all at once, because I would really just like to sit there and do 12 weeks of Cassian and just get the whole thing. But I don't know. There's so much Star Wars. I guess it doesn't matter, right? Well, I mean, with there's like 5 shows that we could talk about right now if we wanted to speculate on them, and so I guess they they do have that wiggle room to break it up. Because 12 weeks of one show with that many shows is a lot.
Yeah, well, and that's so. Kendall mentioned, spreading it out a little. I could see what you're saying. If and we have to kind of put the Bad Batch in there somewhere too, right? And assume that it's 16 episodes, a full season, like season 1 was, or more, right? Like some of the Clone Wars series were like 24 episodes. What if if we had 24 episodes, would they release the Bad Batch simultaneously with something else?
There's a caveat to that, and that's that Lucas back then, and when the old model of TV was aiming to get 100 episodes in the can immediately so he could hit syndication, which back then was how you got bread and butter off of the series, and we're just so not there anymore. So
that's a great nugget of information. That is really helpful. So look, if let's say Andor gets split in half, and then as Kendall was mentioning, perhaps throwing the Mandalorian into 2023, Ahsoka's in 2023, season 2 of Andor in 2023, and then
the Acolyte.
Right? Then 2023 starts to really pile up.
A droid story or droid tell, whichever one it's called, I can't remember. That's a thing too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a great. This is a what do they call it? A wealth of like it's fantastic for Star Wars fans. And I want to talk about Lunga's comment here from the Great Council. The Tatooine show scoop this week was Obi-Wan teaser, probably and possibly the whole episode at Celebration. What do you think about the possibility of getting a post-credit scene in the Book of Boba Fett that announces a new series, and secondly, an ad for something in the Super Bowl?
I'm not too sure about that. All I know is that the Tatooine scoop about Celebration is something that LRM Online heard about 2 weeks ago, and that's looking pretty likely. As to if it's going to drop on Disney Plus the same day as Celebration so that everyone can have a chance to watch it, or if it's going to be exclusively for Celebration and then, the next Wednesday it's going to drop, I have no clue. But this whole Celebration thing seems to have been something Disney executives have wanted or put forward to Lucasfilm to be like, look, this is the best course of action. Celebration is happening again. Kenobi's the big show of the year. Let's do it then.
I had dinner with a friend recently, and he was telling me that he and some other people have seen Kenobi, and it's pretty much done. Like it's pretty. The show is pretty. Essentially, if they wanted to start airing it now, they could have it finished by the time the sixth episode ends, so to speak. Like in terms of what's left to finish in it, it's pretty much done. So I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, in my opinion, having a series in the can just sitting there and being like, nope, we're not going to show anything from it. We're not going to do any kind of promotion or trailers or any awareness on it. They can. So why wouldn't they? That's kind of my take.
And we forgot to mention the Lando series in the mix as well. So go ahead, Kendall.
But when you look at, say, what they did with Book of Boba, like folks are like, they're not really marketing this thing out, right? Like it's the people question the marketing strategy. After episodes 5 and 6, and now you have this buzz going around it, they may have the feeling like, we actually can do this. Like this is actually maybe a good strategy that we can do or what have you. So I mean, maybe they do keep the cards to the Kenobi cards to their chest here, just kind of going off of their track record and what they think is working. Like we're happy, folks are happy. Maybe they're thinking like their marketing scheme was not wrong. Now I totally disagree. I would love to see some trailers for Kenobi. Like I would love to get like a Super Bowl ad in for Kenobi. Like the Star Wars Celebration thing sounds dope to me because it's, you bring a back Celebration and boom, like that's like the prize jewel of this year. But to me, it's like, are they really gonna? I could definitely see the Celebration thing happening, but anything outside of that, like, are they really gonna break from their norm? Or are they really gonna change their marketing strategy from what they've done with these past series? That's a question to me that I hope it change, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, because when it comes to like promoting streaming stuff, you don't necessarily want to promote that it's coming. You want to promote that you could subscribe and go watch it now.
Right.
So they usually tend to keep it pretty close to when it's going to premiere. So if that may quote, I don't know if we want to call it a leak, that error from that Disney Plus employee on Twitter last night is any indication, it sounds though like it's going to be hitting at that time. I don't know. None of that made sense. We didn't really talk about it very much, but that a guy came out and said like, "Oh, it's coming. It's coming in May," and then he was like, "Oh, it was the book. I got confused." But he actually like wrote like 2 Disney Plus, and it just didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that was just a weird human error? Just like, I mean, a strange.
No, I think he meant the
part?
series. He meant the series. He realized he fucked up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I meant the comics. That's convenient."
Equate that to John Campea saying he thought those photos were fake. Like that.
Yeah, it's,
like,
it's exactly like John Campea.
Dude,
like,
dude, you know what you were doing.
Yeah. So, Seth, I like this idea that maybe the post-credit scene is a live-action version of that post-credit scene of Rebels, where you see Sabine come in, or Sabine's there, and you see Ahsoka come in, something like that. That would be fun. And I think the point of it is that the post-credit scene would kind of announce Ahsoka coming in 2023.
I love that, but I can't see it happening. Not for after the Book of Boba Fett. We could get like a Kenobi trailer or maybe like a scene for The Mandalorian Season 3, but I can't see it being related to Ahsoka.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this.
I think Santa froze.
Oh, yeah, Santa did freeze. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can.
Yes.
I can.
Do you guys think that in terms of if they do give us anything at the end, a quote, post credits, whatever, trailer or anything, do they just give us what's next? Or what next in the story?
Okay. Are we back?
or,
Jason got taken out mid-sentence.
yeah. Do they give us what's next, or do they give us what's next in the story in that Boba timeline? Because if it was to be what's next, I would almost feel like if they were going to make it make sense for what's important to the Boba story, it would be like Mando 3, and I don't think makes any sense to promote.
Here's a hot take.
Yeah,
the post-credit scene will be something for the Book of Boba Fett Season 2. Even though they haven't confirmed that yet, they'll do like a setup for it so that they can show investors like, look, we got this planned for a second season. And in my opinion, that will be something to do with Mace Windu or Omega. It has to be something that packs a punch, something huge.
That's smart.
I'm 100% with you, Meg. I think the post-credit scene is for me. I think it's going to be Kira coming to clean up the mess the Pikes left. I think she's going to come and say, I hired these guys to come in, or I gave this territory to the Pikes. They couldn't handle it, so here I come. And look, we've got another guest here, Daryl the Derelict. Hello, Daryl.
Daryl,
welcome.
I like his hat.
I can't hear anything, so I don't know what's going on. So let me swap headphones real quick, and I'll be right back.
Very good. Yes, Meg, you would like that hat. Look, you have a hat on just like it.
I have to take an important call, so I'll see you guys in a while.
We'll see you
Bye,
guys. Take care. Thanks for stopping in. And so, no, I think that Kira is going to be coming in to clean up the mess.
If I was in the chat, I would have quoted you because that sounded funny. But I think Kira,
I'm sorry.
I think Kira is responsible, and I think she'd love to clear up that mess.
I would love to see a
Sorry.
post-credit scene of like we got Amanda with Boba walking up to Fennec. I would love to see Omega walking up to whether it's I don't know who could be on the ground in that type of situation, but I would love to just see that tease to Omega. Like I think that's now I don't
I'd
know. It
love
sounds
that.
like I'm the biggest Omega fan in the world, but it just to me like Omega is just her omission from this series does not make sense to me. So if it's just boots, something, have a speculate this Omega, anything. But I would love that to be the post-credit scene.
So I have a question for you, Kendall. Where do you
Okay.
think Omega ended up this far after the Bad Batch timeline?
Honestly, I feel like I don't want to say she's a bounty hunter, if you will, but she's someone who's up for the job. Like if there's something, like whether she's working with Hera, whether she's doing something like getting her hands dirty, I think she's always somebody who's battle ready. So I don't want to say necessarily like she's a bounty hunter, but she's somebody who I think could be called on at this point. Like not anybody like that's just sitting on their hands and not doing anything. Which I know that's like kind of very vague, but honestly, like whether she's like a revolutionary or just muscle, that's where I see her fitting in right now. Not necessarily being like a bounty hunter or anything of that sort, but I see her being a badass. Sorry, Santa. Sorry, Santa. But I see her.
That's
I see her
exactly
being
it.
a bad woman, though.
I think I absolutely would love to see her come in as a drop at the end. But I got to go with Meg again. It might be too deep cut for normies to pick up on. And I mean, it'd do a lot for us, but they'd be like, "Who's this blonde chick?" What? Yeah.
Unless
But
they
if you
have
say that
like
about Bane,
deep faked Tamara Morrison
but can you say
and
that
gave him blonde
Bane was
hair.
deep cut? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like bringing in Bane in live action the way they did without even saying his name, I felt like that was very deep cut because so many people, even YouTubers, haven't watched animated series.
But at the same time, Bane has been around since he's been around for years in the Clone Wars, and Omega's only existed for like a year. So even though he is a bit more deep cut, I feel like, for example, I knew people growing up at school who were kind of vaguely into Star Wars, and this was like when the Clone Wars started, and they would vaguely recognize characters, from all those years ago, even if they're not diehard fans. Whereas Omega just kind of started her Star Wars journey, and I feel like it makes more sense to do the Ahsoka thing, have her play a prominent role animated before bringing her in. But I definitely think that meeting with Boba Fett has to happen.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I'm looking up. Here we go. Gray couldn't find the link, so I send that to her. But yeah, I just don't know that bringing in Omega. Well, I guess they could bring her in. I heard Jason and them talking earlier as well, like bringing in Kira. There's a lot of people I haven't seen Solo. They don't know who she is. And seeing somebody come in to clean up a mess, I guess you don't have to announce who that person is. In either case, Kira or Omega. But I tend to agree with Meg that it'll give you a reason to go back and watch Solo, right? So people be like, "Who the heck is this lady coming up?" And Star Wars fans will say, "Oh, that's Kira."
I have a rebuttal to that, Santa. If you want to hear like a rebuttal to that argument, there
Sure.
is such an easy way to make Kira important without having seen Solo. Like if you're someone who didn't watch Solo, you've seen, let's say, the Skywalker saga 1 to 9, and you kind of stayed away from the spin-offs and the shows and the comics, and they bring Kira into this, you instantly have her say that she was Maul's apprentice. She is the heir to Darth Maul's syndicate collective, and instantly fans are captivated by her.
I'm with you. Daryl, you're back. Can you hear us?
Hello there. Yes, I can hear now. I am cured. My deafness is cured.
Excellent. So, what are you thinking?
Man, it's just so up in the air right now. I really don't know what to expect because so much has happened the last 2 episodes. I'm just kind of sitting on the fence waiting. It's really difficult to predict anything because this last episode just had any predictions I had before that. Just like, okay, well, there's that. I'll just wait.
I think that's the smartest response we've heard, because ultimately we don't know what's going to be in this last episode.
We can't have that. I got to have alcohol now.
And all the leakers,
I can't be making sense.
are saying like this last episode is going to be huge. Like all of the leakers who were saying, like, yes, Luke and Grogu in chapter 6, they're like, you just don't know what's coming in the last episode. And if you remember that Tamar Morrison interview, I think it was with Empire Magazine, where he was like, wait till chapter 7. Like, that's the one.
Yeah. Hey, Gray has made it. Hello, my
I'm
friend.
Pedro
Hi,
Pascal.
everybody.
It's Pedro Pascal.
X-Wing. Hey, I enjoyed your show from last night, X-Wing. It was good to get a catch one on the replay.
Thank you. I'm on the set of Kenobi right now.
It does look like
I was lifted on the scenes of Tatooine. I just wanted to say hi. I have no service out here, so I'm going to let you guys go.
All right. Thanks so much, X-Wing. Good to see you.
Stash Rendar.
Yes, Stash Rendar. That's excellent. So, Daryl, overall, what are your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett as a series?
As a series, it's just kind of. I mean, a lot of people are like, okay, well, he's had 5 years to change into this new person. Not true. According to Mando Season 2, which was just a couple of weeks before the Book of Boba Fett started, man, he was all ham on those stormtroopers. Just tearing them up. No pain, no nothing. He's just ripping through them like they're nothing. Then all of a sudden, Book of Boba Fett starts just like, I need my back to tank. Get my Walker. You know?
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah.
And
So what would
something I've
it
always
take
wondered.
what would it take in the finale to pull it together for you? What are your hopes and wishes to make the series fit? Or is there anything they can do?
I'm not sure if they can pull it off in one episode, but basically bring Boba Fett back full circle to where he's just like, you know what? Screw this. I'm all business now. You're all going to die.
I think you might get that. I think you might.
Can I just say, for anyone who didn't like or isn't too sure about what they feel about the show just yet, bear in mind Robert Rodriguez deliberately gave himself 2 of the weaker episodes, and he's got this finale, and I think he's going to blow it out the park. We saw what he could do with chapter 14, and he's had such a big role to play in the other episodes by Steph Green, Kevin Tantrone, and Bryce Dallas. So I think he's going to blow this one out the park, and we will see, I think, that Boba Fett that took out those stormtroopers with the gaffy stick, and then when he had his armor back, he, blasting them like the Boba Fett of old. I think we're going to get those moments, and this time he's going to be on a Rancor.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Right.
Boba Fett, he's part of me. So
That's excellent.
A lot of fans feel that way, and I feel like that's why there's such a frustration that they kind of pulled a sneaky on us and removed him from the show for the last 2 episodes.
yeah.
So I asked this question the other day. Over or under how many pikes the Rancor kills? 5. So will the Rancor kill more or less than 5 pikes?
Less.
All of them.
Less. All of them.
Gotta
Daryl?
About half.
for
About
Boba
half.
and the other guys.
If
That's so
he rides
annoying.
the Rancor through the streets, about half.
You're taking over 5. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't ride the Rancor, 0.
Oh, he's riding a Rancor, and that Rancor is going to be tearing up some pikes. That's happening.
God, I hope so. I really
Gray,
hope so.
welcome. Thanks for joining. You said that's still a kitten?
Yeah, he's only 8 months old.
Oh my goodness.
Santa.
Yeah, they're the second biggest domesticated
Meg.
cat breed.
Santa
Meg?
knows I'm so tempted to say.
I'm surprised you haven't.
Shh.
Ray,
I
that's a
understand.
nice pussy.
I know. It's the biggest, best one ever.
She tried so hard to not say it, but it just had to. I mean,
And she was kissing it a moment ago.
I was.
Well, if you can.
And I named it Mr. Bridger.
Meg's version of Tourette's, right? She just blurts out. She can't stop it. So
He's a
Gray?
Siberian forest cat, so he's pretty big.
what are your overall thoughts of the Book of Boba Fett, and what are you hoping for in the finale?
Oh man, so my overall thoughts of the Book of Boba Fett is it's fracking amazing. It's amazing. I'm just so excited about it. I only have a couple gripes. Like, I disliked the colorful bikes and the slow-mo chase scene with the bikes. I couldn't get on it. I just could not. But besides that and the quick killing off of all the Tusken Raiders, it's amazing. I'm happy with it. I love the 2 Mando episodes. It felt like different chapters in a book. And which is just leading off to, or, you know, like books sometimes become trilogies or they spur off different stories. And I find different people and chapters in books all the time, especially the Aftermath series with Cobb Vanth, where he's from, which, I love Cobb Vanth. And his stories were just separate of the entire Aftermath series.
Right. And they do that in the Thrawn novels as well.
Yeah. And so I had no complaints in that area. And because I'm so excited about everything, I couldn't stand it. I do not think that choice at the end for Grogu is much of a, like, oh, what's he going to choose? Because, you know, Mando's ship is made for Grogu. It's right there. It's already. And then, you know, you said it was based on that one movie. So I think 100% Grogu is going to go back with Mando, which couldn't be more exciting. And did anybody catch how awesome Ahsoka looked? She looked way better than when she was in the Mando. She acted like Ahsoka better. Her white makeup is better. Her whole entire headdress, the Montrals, they actually went up higher. The Leku came down about 3 inches longer. It was wider here. The white makeup looked amazing.
Length matters.
Length does matter, and so does girth. Now, you know, they needed to be thicker.
Yeah.
And then
they gave Ahsoka a really great head.
Oh my goodness. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to touch on Cad Bane. You know, Cad Bane is my favorite. I've even got this big Cad Bane tattoo on my arm. I love him so much, and I actually, when I get to him, I'm stupid. When I get too emotional, I start crying. Like when I get too happy, so I'm like, Cad Bane, and then I just start crying. Yeah,
he was menacing. I loved it.
I
loved his teeth.
Terrifying, his voice and the way his teeth stuck out when his mouth got all tight. Like, how dare you ask my name? You know,
something I'm going to make a video about is what he said to Cobb Vanth, because I think it went over a lot of people's heads, and it kind of teased Kira in a really huge way.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that they've teased Kira several times. And again, I think they said at the
I was teasing. I'm sorry.
I know. That was good, Daryl. That was really good. I think we've heard this several times, that after everything's over, that we'll go back and look on the season differently and do a rewatch and pick up on these things. And I think that is one of the big things coming on, is that when they keep talking about the syndicate over and over again. And I just rewatched episode 3 yesterday, and they mentioned the syndicate in there. The Hutts mentioned the syndicate. I'm like, I think they're talking about something different than people think they're talking about. And I think it's Kira.
I think you're right, for sure. I see a lot of people that complain about Cad Bane being a lighter blue. I don't know if you guys notice. A lot of people didn't like that he was such a pale blue, but their species lighten up as they get older. And
he's not a cartoon character.
And he's old. I mean, he's like 75 years old by this. So, you know, he's lightening up and changing, which, man, I couldn't be more excited.
Let me get the super chat from Trucker Mark. And Trucker Mark, I know you're out on the roads. You've been out west. I'm curious, where are you today? Where is Trucker Mark today? It's going to have to be a regular on the show, as he comes in all the time. But he asks, I think that Grogu's is a clone of Yoda. He picked up the clone army in episode 2. He had a chance to leave a sample.
You know, I'm starting to have some really weird theories about Grogu as well. I'm starting to think there's something about him that doesn't sit right compared to The Mandalorian season 2. And I just don't think he's another member of Yoda's species, completely unrelated to Yoda. And there might be some truth to that, even if Kuil said he's organic or whatever. I think the Bad Batch Season 2 might explore what happened on Mount Tantis.
Yeah, and it's been
Thank you for getting that right. Thank you.
20, 25, almost 30 years since episode 3 at this point, and they say he's 50. Even if he had accelerated growth rate, he'd still be a child.
Yeah, and we saw in this episode, one thing I really liked in this episode, and I haven't heard many people talk about it either, is that Luke specifically says to Ahsoka, Ahsoka says, you're treating him well, because it's more like I'm just helping him remember. Like Grogu, and I've said this since the early part, is that he is trained. He's been trained. He's been trained at least as long as Anakin was trained. He's been trained as long as any other Padawan has been trained. And that the PTSD is what's blocking his memory, his abilities. And we saw that in this episode where Luke was revealing the memories, and you saw Order 66. That was the PTSD that was blocking much of it, in that he specifically says that I'm not really teaching him as much as just helping him remember.
Did anyone pick up on the bouncy ball vibes like Yoda in Attack of the Clones in the last episode?
Yes.
When Grogu's like jumping from rock to rock, it reminded me of Yoda's fight with Dooku.
Me too.
Right.
I was waiting for that sound that Yoda made.
Oh. I think we're going to get. I think we're going to see that Grogu is more advanced than what we've seen so far, and I think that he has full language vocabulary. I think he's able to talk. I think he's just not talking.
I mean, Yoda trolled everyone with his backwards way of speaking, because we know he could speak normally in that one Attack of the Clones scene. And I still put this forward to Seth MacFarlane. He should do the Stewie voice for Grogu.
I think Grogu's going to teach Din how to use the Darksaber, because he's been trained for 50 years or at least 30 years in the Jedi Temple. So he's saber trained, and Din is not. And Grogu's going to go back with Din eventually. There's nobody left to train Din, so either he's going to end up being a little Yoda in armor, or with the Darksaber, or he's going to train Din to use the Darksaber, I think.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, in a way, that Mando's going to get into a brawl. The S is going to hit the fan. All hope seems lost. Then here comes Luke and Grogu. Grogu comes up, picks up the Darksaber, and just wields it like it's nothing.
So, good question here, Daryl. Does the Darksaber size to scale? Right. So will it be that full length saber we saw Din and Moff Gideon have, or will it be Grogu size?
Oh, that is a good question. I mean, granted, size does matter. But...
Meg.
I was holding back.
I know.
Hey, I'm trying to help you out, buddy.
There's a saber in a book. I can't remember what the novel's called, and it's not a canon novel. But there's a guy who has a lightsaber. He doesn't know where he got it from. He's like a little grifter guy. And the lightsaber used to be long, and now it's only like 10 inches. And he says it's losing inches every year.
10 inches is still good.
That happens when you get older.
He might have, lightsaber dysfunction.
Everything gets smaller with age, unfortunately.
Except my feet.
No. But that reminds me of it's an actual Legends book now, the Jedi Academy trilogy. One of Luke's apprentices, Padawans, Gantoris, he made a lightsaber that could, it was the normal 2.5 meters or whatever long, but he had a dial on it to where he could do it, and it would double the length of the blade.
Yeah, and in the current High Republic novels, there's a Jedi who her lightsaber is either a saber or a whip, and that brings back some of the lightsaber whips from
Star Wars
the
bondage.
EU as well. Yeah, no, Daryl.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I need to see that. I need to see that lightsaber umbrella thing from Visions, in a real life, regular, not Visions type Star Wars.
Yeah,
like canon,
well,
live action canon.
I've been kind of on this mindset that the finale is going to pick up some more beats from Lord of the Rings, and that we're going to see similar how at the end, the Battle of Five Armies in The Hobbit, or the Battle of Helm's Deep in Return of the King, that along the way, more armies will be coming in, and just as things seem dire, somebody comes in to raise the day, right? So that's it could be similar to the ghost armies that come in that Aragorn went out and recruited, and just as it looked like they were going to die, the ghost armies came in. Those could be like the Tuscans coming in to save the day. We could end up with similar to Gandalf coming in on the white horse. You could end up with Luke and Grogu coming in at the very end there as well. So, and I think that again, my friend Will Morgan from Meta Egg, he kind of planted the seed in my head. And now it's gotten so big. It's kind of filled my thoughts where that could Meg. It could absolutely that in this last episode we saw some foreshadowing and some bits that looked similar to Lord of the Rings scenes as well. So that's where my thoughts are. And now I can't talk because I'm worried that I'm going to say something else that entertains Meg.
You always do, Santa.
My brain isn't wired that way, and I don't think about it until after I speak it, and then I'm like, oh no. And I always feel I've said this before. Always feel like Hagrid from Harry Potter. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I should.
You feel like Hagrid. You've certainly got the beard for it.
I need to put a button on my stream deck that plays that.
Size.
He is a large boy. Yes,
he is half giant. You know.
He's got a 3-headed
dog.
The timing was everything on that joke.
Yeah. You guys are great. What else? What else have we missed?
Is Cobb Vanth dead?
Oh, yeah. Is Cobb Vanth dead?
No, he's not dead. No. He just got shot in the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. It's Disney Star Wars. There are no consequences.
Hey, no one's ever really gone.
So this is something that Meg tries to bring up all the time. The consequences bit. Will anybody of consequence die in the finale?
Yes.
And who do you think?
I was going to say no.
Who do you think, Daryl?
Oh, it's really tough to say. Either, I think Fennec may eat it.
I think Cad Bane is going to eat it.
Well, I think it's going to be between her and Cad Bane. They're dueling each other, so they may wipe each other out.
Doesn't Fennec have like a robotic stomach?
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Gray?
Cad Bane's going to bring in so much money and excitement. If they kill him off in the next episode, I kind of think that would be a shame. Like such a shame. Like he's going to be he's just as important as like Fennec Shand. I would honestly have a gigantic issue, and my thoughts of the show would diminish greatly if Cad Bane dies.
I think it's the perfect end for him. He's done so much in the Clone Wars. Have him go out in an honorable way at the age of 75 in live action.
I like what you're saying. I just wanted to see more of him, I guess.
I want more Cad Bane as well. Oh, and I thought of another thing. So yeah, I think that Cad Bane may get injured, and he'll leave wounded, but I don't think he'll die. I also don't think they're going to kill Fennec Shand.
No.
I think they had killed her and then they decided not. Now they see that how popular she is and she's another money train. I don't see them putting an end to her character.
And Ming-Na Wen is like the biggest Star Wars fan. I don't think they do that to her.
I don't think so.
Well, it kind of went along with another part of that theory that when Fennec does die, she'll send Boba to Omega. That's when she'll talk to him about her.
They might do a fake out death like Ben Solo in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Here, let me stab you through the stomach. Oh, wait, let me heal you.
Trucker Mark. Meg, no biting. You know.
Are we still on the 10-inch discussion, or is this something else?
Let's not. There's another question I want to raise. So I've heard some complaints, people saying that when they saw Luke and Ahsoka together, that they really wanted that first time they met, not sometime after the first time they met. And we got the sometime after version. People wanted to see that initial, like, how do they respond to one another? How does that initial meeting go? And is there any discussion then about him being her master's son? Does any of that happen? We didn't get any of that discussion because it's already happened and we're mid-story.
I don't think it has.
I have a theory on that.
You don't think what has happened, Daryl?
The conversation about Anakin.
Oh, interesting.
But then that makes that conversation a bit weird when she's like, "You're just like your father."
Well, I mean, they had some conversation, but it didn't go into depth.
Gray, what do you say?
I do not think you'll see that conversation because the parts where you could see Luke speaking that they didn't like pan away to Grogu or something else where you actually see his mouth speaking are very simple words that have your mouth shut most of the time. You don't purse your lips when you're saying something. And so they chose specific sentences that simplified the movement of his face. And if he was to have a long conversation with Ahsoka, it would end up looking weird and people would not like it.
Agreed. That's why I think it'll be through the Force.
I think it's going to be in a comic.
They'll show each other.
Oh, a comic.
It could be in a comic.
Because Luke in the comics is searching the galaxy for Jedi artifacts and he comes across Yoda's holocron. I think he could easily have met Ahsoka between Empire and Jedi.
So people are shipping Luke and Ahsoka?
Shipping Luke and Ahsoka? Ew.
Yeah, we may not have seen their first time, but we may see their first time.
Oh, Ahsoka.
No. She's like his mother-in-law.
Some people are into that stuff. It's called.
I guess you're right. That is true.
Or aunt, more like an aunt, right?
Yeah, I guess aunt or godmother. That's what I was trying to say.
Let me play with your head tail.
I don't know. An auntie to him, right? I think that's the case. Dominic saying Luke Soka's definitely happened. Josh was right. Josh Dinner Nerds. He's kind of he gets some grief about that. But what about a Luke-centric live-action show? Will that happen? And if so, would it be with the deepfake stuff or a different person?
They would have to recast him. And I think people would freak out. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, everybody's calling for Sebastian Stan to do it, but I think he's not the right person anymore.
Oh, really? I think he looks like the right person, but I saw the interview with Mark Hamill and he wasn't happy about, he said it was okay. Very like, I don't know about anybody's playing me. I don't think they should have done Mark Hamill young when Mark Hamill was young and brought that story forward long time ago.
I've got a hot take. I don't want to see too much Luke anymore.
Me too. I agree.
I don't want it to ruin the original trilogy and the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people really want to see it. And we've talked about this, especially with the Bad Batch finale and seeing Mount Tantus in there. And a lot of people have been speculating about some sort of retelling of Timothy Zahn's Empire series, right? Like Heir to the Empire. Well, big portion of that is Luke and Leia and and having their kid. But the other part of that is Luke, right? So there's Han and Leia and Luke, right? So Han and Leia are really featured in there a good bit, but then Luke is as well on a separate story arc in there. And if they're setting up Mount Tantus and they're setting up a cloning facility on Mount Tantus, we saw that in the Bad Batch. It seems to me that it's quite likely we would see some sort of follow-up to that. And would they do it in live action, or are they going to do it in animated? What are they going to do? How's that going to play out? And then, what do you? I just don't know.
I think if we get a Luke series, that's where it'll end up, is Mount Tantus.
We did get a Luke series. It's called The Original Trilogy.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what
I cry your
about the Vader series, right? Like, we have a Vader series. It's the original trilogy. Well, the prequels and the original trilogy. So yeah, so Thrawn, we've introduced Thrawn in the Favroni-verse, right? Dave and Filoni and Favroni-verse, right? We have them. Thrawn's been introduced. We have Mount Tantus and the cloning facility introduced, and it just seems like everything's coming together to tell that story in some means, in a canonized way. Or do they just pass it off to the books and say, go read those EU books?
I think it's going to be in the Favroni-verse, and to be honest, it's all going to revolve around the rise of Snoke. I know people don't like that, but that is where this all leads.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because Luke's hand, it's implied in the comics, was used to create Snoke. That's why he's got those blue eyes.
I don't mind
And eventually,
finding out about
that's
Snoke.
going to tie into Moff Gideon as well.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to find out more about Snoke. It kind of was like this weird thing that never got expanded, and it would be nice to just have it all tied together in a nice little bow.
I agree. I'd rather that than them doing these multiple timeline things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that they can tie in the original Heir to the Empire series. It just there's too many holes in it now.
No, they could still bring in Jorah C'baoth or C'baoth.
They could bring in Joris, and they could bring in the Lost Fleet. They could bring in the Katana Fleet. I think, and I made this speculation before, that could explain why Thrawn isn't around during the sequel era or whatever, that he goes to the Katana Fleet and he takes the Katana Fleet back to Chiss space, and he's fighting whatever threat there are to the Chiss in Chiss space, right? Whatever threat there is, right? So I do think they would bring that in. Do they bring it in live action or animated?
Live action, because here's also the problem with this. If you start to bring in Thrawn, into the Ahsoka series, not that that's a problem. I mean, if you start to expand his importance in live action, you therefore have more of there's more of an onus on you to have to explain where he went in the sequels. Why isn't such a huge character post Return of the Jedi not around during the sequels?
Right.
And I think that is something they have to consider.
Yeah. So if they go live action, and I think it is like more and more likely they go live action, then Han and Leia are a big part of that story. Do we get recasting? Do you get more Alden? Do you get
for sure Alden?
Wait, you said Leia and Han play a big story in that. Only in Zon's Legends trilogy. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have to retell it. Like, I think we spoke about this once, Santa, how Ahsoka will probably fill the Luke role in from Heir to the Empire. She will be the next Luke Skywalker in that story.
And Grogu will be the twins.
I like that.
Interesting.
So Jason and Jaina, you got Grogu.
So here's what I want to do. I want to get X-Wing and you guys together, all of us together, and kind of storyboard out Heir to the Empire in the Favroni-verse, right? Let's let's see if we can get together and try to storyboard that out, because I think there's an interesting story to tell there. Like
that.
What you guys just started to do, right? I think that would be great. And and I would love to get X-Wing into a discussion that way.
We got to get him off Tatooine first.
Well, he needs some reception.
Well, it may be the generic Tatooine because it only had one son.
Right. I know. I think maybe he was on, everybody wants to go back to Jakku. So maybe.
Oh, no. Fuck Jakku.
Why does everybody want to go back to Jakku?
No one likes Jakku. That's Ray's planet.
Well,
look at the time.
we know X-Wing is secretly a trilogy lover, and he loves Ray. He can't wait to get that yellow lightsaber. I know he's pre-ordered it
so hard.
I know he does, and he lies about it all the time. But we know that he does simp for Ray.
He said he's naming his next daughter Ray, so there's something.
Next week. I see. I'd love to do this when they're not on here to defend themselves, because I'm not as sharp-witted as Meg is, and so
I'm not
like,
as sharp-witted as Meg either.
That's why Santa disses me. Santa disses me when I'm not on stream.
That's the only time I can do it, because if I try to do it when Meg's here to defend herself, I just embarrass myself.
I think of my comebacks afterwards, and then I'm like,
yeah.
Santa, do you remember my joke about the comeback?
I don't want to. I've blocked it in my memory, much like Grogu in his training.
Do you want me to remind you?
No.
Wait a minute. I missed the first part of this. You don't like Grogu's training?
No, I blocked it. I blocked it. It's PTSD from when Meg last embarrassed me.
Oh,
no, it's no. I Meg wants to remind everybody how she embarrassed me before.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
I got it.
Santa wanted my comeback, and I said, if you want my comeback, you'll have to scrape it off your mum's teeth. Anyway, Book of Boba.
Meg, I'm turning red. That was very good.
There's nothing in here. Why? Why is the wrong one?
I know. I'm like all the time. I'm like, whew, I'm hot again. I like. Oh my goodness!
Absolutely nothing going on.
It's terrible. It's terrible. All right.
Ooh.
Look, and with that, I think I'm done. I think I do need to share the Mike Porter dad joke of the day. You guys ready for that?
There was one more thing. I don't know if y'all brought it up already.
No, go ahead, Daryl.
I'm wondering how Luke got Yoda's lightsaber when Yoda lost it fighting Palpatine.
So this was in Meg's video today,
Luke
right? Meg has a very hot take.
There when Yoda died.
Meg, you were convinced absolutely they've retconned the comic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I also saw reference that in earlier canon that it was in a box, much like Luke had, and so we have different versions of the story of Yoda's lightsaber. Did he have multiple, or was the one that was burned a fake?
It could have been a fake. It could have been like a prop.
Yeah. Well, and I think the theory that it was a fake makes everything fit together better, right? It's propaganda, Empire propaganda.
But where was the real one in Bellatrix Lestrange's vault?
And it's actually in. I got to look. All New Nerds. I saw Levi Bond posted something about where it was originally, and I had to go back to find Levi's post on it.
Well, he had it when he went to Dagobah because he cut up those stormtroopers when Order 66 went off in the Revenge of the Sith, and then he went to Dagobah, and so since he left to Dagobah, that he's lost it.
No, when he was fighting Palpatine in the Senate room.
Yeah, it fell.
The lightning blew it out of his hand, and right before he fell, and that's when he lost his cloak as well.
Mm-hmm. And then Bail Organa was waiting for him in the
He couldn't have
taxi.
picked it up when he went and got his
He
cloak.
didn't have it on him.
So now Dagobah is a really
here it
strong
is.
forest planet. He couldn't have gotten a crystal from there and rebuilt his saber. Ahsoka's rebuilt
He was going to in order to kill some of the local animals for meat, and then he realized it would be a disgrace to the Jedi weapon. So he instead used the parts that he was going to make into a lightsaber into a bow and arrow.
Okay.
So here's what I got from Levi Bond. It says the 2016 reference book Star Wars Complete Locations depicts the lightsaber as being stored in a box at Yoda's hut by the time of the events of The Empire Strikes Back. In 2017, Darth Vader comic, which is the one that Meg referenced, stated it was destroyed during the celebration and eradication of the Jedi Order. And then when asked, Charles Soule said perhaps Yoda built a new one, or he had more than one, or it was a fake to make a point.
And so the 2019 Age of the Rebellion special explicitly has Yoda saying, "I will never again wield a lightsaber."
Because he failed.
That was George's whole vision for Yoda in the original trilogy. He's on Dagobah for that reason of penance, because he failed. Giving him a lightsaber just ruins the whole idea of Yoda, Yoda's story arc in a way.
So it doesn't explain where his went. So Daryl's exactly right. We saw him drop the saber before he went into exile, along with his cloak. Somehow between then and Empire, it got put in a box, and it was stored. I just
figured they'd save it for a story for another time that we'll never hear.
Yeah, it says it was stored in a box in Yoda's hut.
And he took it out of the box, so it looks like he just took the box with him.
Right, and Luke had the box, right. Mm-hmm. And that's what he opened.
Well, that's what I assumed happened.
Yeah, that fits together, and it would make sense that Filoni would use that reference.
And maybe Yoda just wanted a saber just because it reminded him of the old times. He never planned on using it. That wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, he could have just had one. He built
one,
because
they do treasure it, and it's a part of them. Even though they said before the Clone Wars, Jedi barely ever fought with their lightsabers. Some of them never even used it except in training.
Right.
So before the Clone Wars, the sabers were just something that the Jedi had for emergencies. They never used them.
So I do think that the one that Padawannabe, what are my eyes going bad, or is that Daryl? No, that is Daryl. That is indeed Daryl.
The real Daryl, not the fake Daryl.
That's right. Like, is this the real Meg or is it the fake Meg?
That's Marshall Meg.
This is my first time on a show with Meg.
It's very exciting the first time you get to meet her, and then she starts picking on you, and then it's just embarrassment from that.
This is my second.
I don't really get embarrassed. So.
It's a hazing process. Santa's used to it. It goes red, not from blushing, from something else, but
No. I do like the explanation that the one that was burned was a fake.
Weren't there other ones as well, though? Like
were there?
Kit Fisto? Pretty sure.
Oh yeah. Well, the other ones that were burned, but maybe the Yoda one was fake.
But what would be the point of that? But no one would be like, "Oh, that's Yoda's." Like, the audience wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They could take a metal stick and be like, "Yes, this was Yoda's lightsaber." Whoosh.
Perhaps, or Dave just ignores comics. How about that?
I think he just ignores comics.
Does he know what a comic is?
I don't think so.
He's truly George's apprentice, right?
Because George didn't care about comics either.
Oh, right. He said, "I'm going to tell the story I'm going to tell." Oh, Maul's chopped in half. Well, no, he's not. So there.
I actually really liked that whole weird twist.
Yeah. I was hoping that instead of Kira leading, the running the syndicate, it'd be Prince Shizor. Hi.
It could still be Prince Shizor.
Oh God, that'd be awesome.
I just like Kira
but that's an even deeper cut than Kira.
Yeah. Nobody knows who that would be.
So we will find out Wednesday. I am super, super excited for this finale. I think it's going to be fantastic and really excited for it. So let me bring up the Mike Porter dad joke.
Imagine if at the end of chapter 7 it says directed by Ryan Johnson.
Everybody'd boycott it. Nobody'd watch it. And that would be sad.
It would be, but Santa would be rock solid.
I would be happy. I
don't mind. I didn't mind The Last Jedi, so it wouldn't bother me any. But I do get where people get all upset.
And Meg's giving me a hard time. She likes The Last Jedi too.
I know she does. It's her favorite.
Yeah. So here's Mike Porter dad joke. What did Admiral Akbar warn the insect that flew into his garden? It's a trap. It's a Venus flytrap. So there you go. Mike Porter dad joke.
Rock on, Mike.
We love Mike Porter.
Awesome.
Mike Porter just joined Meg's Discord. Super exciting. They've got
I did too, I think.
Yeah, Meg's got a whole channel devoted to Mike Porter dad jokes, I think.
I opened it yesterday, a Discord channel.
I saw that.
For Mike to do his business, and then we have to lap it up. That was not the right wording. But Mike Porter has a bit of fun in there, and we watch him.
It's a lot of fun. And we love Mike, and
that's because Mike's
I
great.
Appreciate that. He is great. Daryl, where can folks find you?
You can find me over at the VacTube with Darth Arlena. We stream every Saturday and Tuesday.
Excellent. And Gray, my friend, you're still doing the TikTok thing.
Yeah,
right?
I'm Donna the Gray on TikTok.
Excellent.
And everybody knows. I even made a video crediting Santa yesterday because I was talking about the Paper Moon reference to
Excellent.
Grogu.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah. And everybody, we all are simps for Meg. Meg is. If you've not gone and joined Meg's Discord, you should do that. You should join Meg's Patreon, and you should buy Meg's merch. And
I did join her Patreon. I don't have merch yet.
Oh, you should subscribe to her second channel, Meg's Cantina, where you hear that wonderful Hoth ambiance music. And
remember, Santa, others. I'm Star Wars Meg. Sometimes Santa throws in references of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Marvel. I'm not Marvel Meg. I'm not Harry Potter Meg. I'm not even Lord of the Rings Meg. I'm Star Wars Meg. Do you know who I am? I'm Star Wars Meg.
That's true.
This Boba Fett reference when you pinned up that bunny.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. And but as I said yesterday, that doesn't mean that you're only allowed to watch Star Wars stuff, Meg. You know,
I should probably diversify to something else.
You're allowed to watch other things. Yeah. So fantastic. You guys, thanks so much for dropping in. And earlier we had X-Wing drop in. You can see X-Wing's channel in YouTube, and he has a Discord as well. And that's fantastic. Yeah. Joining Meg's community increases your social score. There you go. X-Wing has his own Discord channel as well as a YouTube channel. And he does live streams while Santa's asleep. That's what happens. It's late at night, and he's out on the West Coast. And we had Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. Jason will be live streaming, I'm guessing, in about 15 minutes. So you can catch Jason Ward there as well. Thank you all so much for being here. I've had a great time today, and we want to do more of these kind of community things to give our members some benefits. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. You guys, any last thoughts before we go?
Live long and prosper.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Rock on.
With the Star Trek reference. I love that, Meg. Thank you so much. And until next time, my friends. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
You're away.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.